Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again for another Splinterlands video. Today I'm going to be talking about my top 10 legendary cards that you might want to consider bumping up to level 2 that cost under $20. Because I decided I've been loving Splinterlands. And by the way, if you're enjoying Splinterlands, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you're guildless, consider joining my guild. I got a family-friendly guild to do with my kids down below. Consider that. But I love legendary cards. When I make these lists, I typically tend to steer clear of them because, you know, legendaries are expensive and they're for people who are getting deeper into the game. But I did want to make this list, and I'm going to focus on only legendaries that cost under $20. Because, yeah, I'm sure there's some $200 legendaries that are amazing when you get them to level 2. But most people don't want to draw $500 on a card. And these are all going to be legendaries that are under $20 that when they get to level 2 start really just kicking some tail. Now, before we get into this list, I want to mention it's organized from cheapest to most expensive, and always remember that don't level up a legendary to level 2 unless you have summoners that are level 3 of that color. Because you might think, oh, level 2 summoners can handle level 2 legendaries. No, you got to make sure you have level 3 summoners, so think of that. But we're going to start off with the cheapest legendary that you can get right now, which is only $2.05, the Jin Biljukka. And the main ability here, obviously, is the camouflage, which means if you slap this into the 6th slot, it's going to be the last thing that survives, unless, of course, they have sparkler damage or some weird stuff. And I can understand why this is currently the cheapest legendary to get. It's not really that glamorous. However, when you get it to level 2, it gains 2 big special abilities. First is Void, which is not really making this card that exciting. But more importantly, it gets up to 2 magic damage. So now you're getting 2 magic damage for 3 mana, and this thing is going to survive. You put it in this last spot, it's probably going to get 5 to 10 shots off, which is 10 to 20 damage. So Jin Biljukka, if you have at least a level 3 green summoner, consider leveling this one up. Low-key, a great one to get right now, in my personal opinion. By the way, none of this is investing advice. This is all gaming advice. Continuing on with our list, we're moving on to the Jin Oshannon, which right now a lot of people are saying is one of the best cards to get in the game because it's just a beast at 10 health, void armor, 2 magic, and more importantly, low-key, huge, 5 speed. But when you get this thing up to level 2, it just goes into a whole nother level because it gains the phase ability where magic attacks can miss the monster using the same hit-miss calculation as for melee and ranged attack, which means this thing is already super duper fast. Now people are they're going to miss when they're throwing, they're going to miss when they're just punching, and now they have the chance to miss when they're doing magic. And if you combo this with the guy that gives you the +1 speed, you now have +6 speed. Just overall, the Jin Oshannon is one of the best cards in the game. And I also did a list entirely on Jin. If you want to check that one out, I'll be sure to post it up there. Continuing on, next one we have is the Desert Dragon, sitting at $5 right now. You can get this legendary. And the Desert Dragon is a really interesting glass cannon. With its 6 health, it's just not a card I typically use, or I like to use in my front line. But 4 damage is great. But once you get it to level 2, you get the piercing, and you say, oh, that's a great special ability. But even better, you get 1 additional damage. And so now you're doing 5 damage with the piercing and the trample ability, which means if you kill something, you're gonna attack again. And that is just massive, especially if they have some sort of small thing in front of you, like some 2 shield, 2 health sort of thing. Bye-bye, it's gone. Desert Dragon, great upgrade from level 1 to level 2. One I think you might want to consider if you got a level 3 dragon summoner. Continuing onward, we have the River Helen. This is a card that I really enjoy just for its main ability, which is, of course, Resurrect. When something dies, it is brought to life with 1 health, but it gets all of its shield back, which is really huge, especially if they have the shield where the magic hits the shield first. But when you get it up to level 2, that's when it really hits its mark, at least in my personal opinion, and one of my favorite styles to play, because it gets Inspire, which means all other monsters are getting +1 attack. So if you can keep this thing hidden and keep this thing alive, it is going to give you so much value. Not to mention, if you combo with the Shark, which is one of my favorite cards in the game right now, you're essentially getting +2 melee attack. Just a great card right now. River Helendale, definitely one to check out and consider getting to level 2 if you got that level 3 summoner. Continuing onward, we have one of my personal favorite cards in the game. That is Adaide Brightwing, and I love Adaide Brightwing as is. I don't think she needs anything more than level 1, but when she gets to level 2, let me tell you. Her big ability, obviously, aside from 2 magical damage, which is fantastic, especially in Light, because in Light, it's somewhat hard to come across magic damage, but being able to repair the shield, whoo! That is fantastic. And flying, just harder to hit, and it makes it so much more valuable for when you get hurricane matches. She's a fantastic card, as is. But then when you get to level 2, it's redonkulous because she gets the resurrect ability. 2 magic damage, repairing shield, flying making her harder to hit, 5 help, which is decent, but then being able to resurrect someone, especially if she's been focusing on keeping up a big, meaty tank, I love Adaide Brightwing. Fantastic card, and get it to level 2. Mwah. Now, the Chaos Dragon, speaking of cards I absolutely love, and this one, I gotta say, I might say this a lot, but this might be my favorite card in the entire game right now. If you have not rented or bought a Chaos Dragon and you want to have a little bit of fun, go get yourself one, and then consider also renting the Summoner, the Dragon Summoner that gives you +1 magic damage. Because at that point, this Chaos Dragon is doing 4 magic damage randomly. Just randomly to someone on their other side. Do you know how many times I have just wiped out a healer right from the jump, being like, oh, this game's over. Just because I was able to wipe out that healer in that right position. Now you're saying, how could it possibly get better? It sounds like it's a fantastic level 1 card. 4 shield, 10 health, 3 magic damage, 3 speed, flying, scattershot. What more could I possibly want, Bauer? Well, what if I told you it could do sparkler damage? AKA blast, I call it sparkler damage, meaning you're now hitting the person on the left and the person on the right. Which means, if your Chaos Dragon, and you happen to bump it up so it has 1 plus extra magic damage, so now it's doing 4 magic damage, but if it hits anyone in the 2 through 5 slot, you are doing 4 damage to that person, and then 2 magic damage to the people on the left and the right. You're potentially getting 8 magic damage a shot off this. So yeah, it costs 14, but whoa! It's one of those, oh yeah, I win cards, because if you get 1 good shot on the Chaos Dragon, it's over. It's over. And with the blast, it's even more. Like, just, woof, one of the most fun cards in the game right now. Chaos Dragon. Highly recommend checking that one out to level 2 if you have the level 3 Dragon Summoner. Moving up in price to another very fun card. I did another video on this one as well. Grum Fireblade, and he's already a stud with his 4 attack, his 5 shield, his 10 health, his 1 speed, which stinks, but then his bloodlust, meaning that every time he kills something, he gets the final blow. He gets +1 to all of his stats, and low-key, one of the most nice things in the game, it also fixes that if you're in the negative speed set, if you have that condition, which some of the other cards don't. They need to fix that. And then the Void Armor, one of the most powerful things in the ability, but then you get it to level 2, and bada boom, you have the Void. Meaning you're getting reduced damage from the magic attack, which means if they hit you with 2 magic, you're only taking 1 magic, and it's not even hitting your massive body of health. It's 12. It's just hitting your 5 shield. And all the while, you're sitting here with 4 damage, just smashing things. Hopefully, you got things surrounding you that are going to benefit you. Go check out my list on Grum Fireblade and cards I'd recommend comboing with him. Fantastically fun card to utilize, and at level 2, just an even more of a monster. Continuing on, we're getting up a little bit in the price here, up to $10.91. We have Uriel The Purifier. Now, this is a card I have, and I'm not the hugest fan of Uriel. And maybe it's just because I need more practice, but his big special ability, obviously, is he flies, which means he's harder to hit. But then he has recharge, which means he attacks every other round, but he does 3 times the damage. So he's hitting 9 damage. And what happens is he'll have, oh, look, I broke their 1 shield with my 9 damage. And they'll be like, I hate you, Uriel The Purifier. But still, a huge, big, beefy tank. Level 2, though, is where I think he really comes into his own because of the heal ability. Because the thing with Uriel is, it's so hard to keep him up for 4 rounds. Because really, if you're going to get good value out of him, you're not just going to want to keep him alive for 2 rounds and just get the 1 hit. You're most likely want to get to that 4th round. And that's really hard to do, especially with how magic damage is super prevalent now. But once you get him to level 2, being able to heal himself is a game changer and makes him so much more viable. Not to mention he gets an extra health, which makes him even more viable as well, even more alive. Uriel The Purifier, great card, and you might have it right now and be like, hey, I'm not the biggest fan of this card. Consider getting to level 2. Try it out, because that healing ability, don't sleep on it, especially, we're talking poison. Love it. 2 more. I love talking about Splinterlands. I'm sad that there's only 2. I should have made this top 20, but then there wouldn't be enough. All right, anywho, we got Backjira, a very fun tank to play with, because if you have this in front, that means you're just going to have a whole lot of damage in the back. Super great card, 11 health, 2 speed, but most importantly, got the Void, so reduced damage from magic attacks, and then reducing the speed of enemy monsters as well, a great ability right there. And then when you get it up to level 2, he gets up to 12 health, which is awesome as well. But more importantly, gets one of my favorite special abilities in the game, Strengthen, meaning all friendly monsters have increased health by 1. So now he's up health, everybody else is up, everybody else is up health. And it makes everyone on your team so much better, because in the back of him, you presumably have a lot of DPS. You got some glass cannons, and having that Strengthen just makes them a little bit stronger, especially if you happen to go the +1 shield, +1 speed summoner as well. I forget their name. I think it's Kelly. But Backjira, great card. Really recommend. Now, final one, last one, just sliding in under $20. We got BiLo The Radiance, and it's $17.83 if you want to buy it right now. And buy yourself, decent card. She's got the Life Leaf, the monster health increases time its damage, so essentially she's going to be gaining in health as she does 2 magic damage each time. And once again, having magic damage in your life is really nice. But where she really hits her stride is when she gets to level 3. And there's 2 big reasons why. First, she goes up to 3 magic damage per time. That is that's huge. You know, at 2 speed, there's a good chance that she's going to be that killing blow on your tank that you've been softening up, if that's your strategy of attacking the front line. But it's not just the damage where she gets fantastic. She also gains the Divine Shield, which means first hit, not going to do anything. So maybe you might not want to risk putting her in your 6th slot, but if you put her, actually you could put her in the 6th slot, because she's going to be sucking up life, she's going to be constantly gaining more health. Your inner squishal, your middle is going to be really rock solid. And then if you didn't put her in the 6th slot, maybe you put her in the 5th slot. When she finally does get to the front, she's going to be a little bit of a tank, because she's probably going to be up to 8, 9, 10 health, if not more, along with the Divine Shield. Maybe it hasn't even been hit yet. You know, fantastic card to consider leveling up to level 2. That extra 1 magic and that extra Divine Shield, definitely worth checking out. But that were the top 10 cards that I'd recommend, legendary cards, I'd recommend you consider bumping up to level 2 that costs under $20. If you enjoy this list, please let me know in the comments below some more lists you'd like to see, some more content. You want to see me focus more on cards? You want to see me focus more on higher levels, lower levels? What would you be more interested in? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube. Bye-bye.